All right, question. What stifles a sense of wonder? What kills a sense of wonder? Because every child, almost every child I've ever run into who's grown up in a healthy home, wakes up in the morning and runs outside expecting that the day will offer something to her, right? And then we start growing up, and somehow that sense of wonder can begin to dissipate. It can begin to dissipate because of suffering, the suffering we encounter. We can suffer physically, and our physical suffering can drain us. It can drain the energy out of us, so that one sight that was so clear at the wonder of what God has done, now we don't see as clearly anymore. Some of us, it's emotional suffering. We're struggling with, who knows, it might be depression. And we get up and there's no sense of wonder because everything looks dark. We're in a deep, deep hole and we can't get out. And all we want to do is lie in bed and weep. And everything looks dark. Wonder's drained out. Some of us are struggling spiritually. Some of us here today are disappointed with God, because we prayed so deeply that something would happen, that a situation would change. It didn't change, and we can't make sense out of it. And so we think to ourselves, well, if that's the way it's going to be, fine, you can be there. I'm going to be real quiet for a while. I don't think there's a lot of talking that's going to come from me. And our faith slowly shrinks because of suffering. Let me add one other characteristic that quenches wonder. This might be a bit surprising. I think distraction kills wonder. Distraction. Any of you read Carlin Romano? He writes oftentimes for the Philadelphia Inquirer in their book review section. He writes for the Chronicle of Higher Ed. He's a gifted writer and a book reviewer. He calls you, not me, I would never say such a thing, but he calls the present generation of college students the most, quote, the most distracted generation in human history. Now, he's not scolding you. He was, in this article, talking about the difficulty of getting students to read a book. They prefer chapters rather than books, he said, or short clips. A video clip would be best. The most distracted generation in human history. I want you to ask a question. Maybe write this one down, or at least think it through with me and take it into the week to come. What am I fundamentally, day in and day out, what am I habitually distracted by? Distracted by. And how has that distraction, catch this, how has that distraction diverted my attention from those things God places before me that could produce in me, revive in me, a sense of wonder? I tried something in Foundations of Christian Spirituality this past spring. It was just really wild and crazy and so on. I walked into class one day. We were 7 weeks into the class. We had about another 7 weeks to go. There were about 200 students. So I came in and I had read an article, and the article had caused something to begin to rumble around in my mind. And I walked in and I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll raise your grade 5% if you do the following. Now, this was not simply like a 5% on the midterm, 5% on the final. I said, I will raise your grade 5% on the course. So if you got an 85% grade on your final grade, you do this, what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'll give you 90%. Boy, I'm telling you, just like today, I can see it. People were focused. They said, talk to me, Dr. Hall, just talk to me. And I said, well, here's what we'll do. I'll give you that 5% increase if you go on a media fast, it got really quiet because everybody's thinking, media fast? What do you mean a media fast? So I explained. No Twitter. No cell phone. That's what they were saying. No cell phone. Limited use of email. Only what Eastern requires. Yeah. We have to check our email once a day, I'm told. No video games. No music. No film. No, nothing. And it was, it's a really fun group in that class. And so one student, I will not tell you her name, raised her hand in the back, and she was kind of laughing and a little bit nervous, and she said, Dr. Hall, how will I know where my friends are and what they're doing? And I said, I suppose by doing what human beings have done for 2,000 years. Find them, talk to them, enjoy them, enjoy their presence, have a conversation. And we all laughed. There were some sweet students in the front row. One student said, well, what about praise music? I said, no. There was one student who said, but Dr. Hall, on Easter's coming up, and there's this one song I really want to listen to on Easter. Can't I listen to that one song? And I said, no. And they all looked at me like I'd lost my mind. That was lost a long time ago. So we were sitting there kind of looking at one another. I thought that out of 210 students, there might be 3 students who would take me up on that idea. There were 43 students who did. And when I read their journals at the end of the semester, the overarching theme was something like this. Dr. Hall, first week or two, I felt anxious. I felt anxious because all the things that I was so used to doing, day in and day out, were suddenly gone. And I just didn't know what to do. And it was kind of scary. It was kind of scary to go back to my room and not pop in a CD, or in the evening not be playing video games, or all those other things that sometimes now I see have what? Distracted me. But as the semester went on, because it was a 7-week event, as the semester went on and I read people's journals, what they ended up saying was, catch it, folks, I began to see things that I hadn't seen for a long time. I began to hear things I hadn't heard for a long time. And Dr. Hall, I don't know that I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I said, fair enough, because I don't go on a media fast like that for the rest of my life either. But I think I might like to take aspects of that fast and move them into the rhyme and rhythm of my life, with the result, folks, that wonder returns.